as number one. I was gonna say.
Where? Let's see. I haven't seen it.
Number one.
Oh, man.
Now
It looks like it's going.
What are you gonna owe her if you win?
What's that?
What are you gonna owe her if you win?
The oil change that I get. See, I want a tattoo 1 year.
Yeah, you did.
I want a tattoo.
Show it. You gonna show
Where'd you
it?
get it? Never mind.
Oil change.
Yeah. Right here.
You should have an oil change. You know anybody needs one?
I don't.
Because it's a regular oil.
Oh, you need a synthetic?
And they charge you as much as an oil change.
Yeah, they do. I don't know what just happened. Mr. Smith, you have less than a minute. You need to figure it out. This is how this works. Yeah. Oh, I want everyone to see this. Number one. Where's Miss Coleman?
What?
Number one.
Not for long.
I think my son told you were number one, didn't he?
He did. Yes. Little Evan did tell me I was number one.
Not a number two.
Yeah. Oh no, we were super tight. You know that. I would say that Mr. Smith has some parenting challenges at his home, but that I'm not one to judge. However,
Just putting it out there.
all right. Are you ready, Mrs. Anderson? All right. Good evening, everybody. It is 7 p.m. We are right on time. It is Monday, March 7th, 2022. If I can get you to silence your cell phones and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mrs. Anderson, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Rounds,
Here.
Councilmember Chapman,
Here.
Councilmember Holland,
Present.
Councilmember Smith,
Here.
Councilmember Rowland,
Here.
Councilmember Burke.
All right, everyone is here and accounted for. Thank you very much, Chief. And how do you want to do this? Mr. Blyle, do you want to, or Mrs. Boysher? I know you love when I call on you. Mrs. Winger? Mrs. Winger? I'll have you. Mrs. Graham? Would you like to come up and introduce
Well, I can be instead the rest of them.
our denying?
Yes. First of all, I would like to share some of the archives that are coming in. For our 100 people are going around and about, digging out things.
I remember those here, dude.
This is a poster from 1967. I would show you another one from '88, which my daughters are in. One of them's a senior and the other one's a tall. But they're both in the same picture. So it's a wonderful thing for Planners Day coming up with our 100th anniversary. Today, I was able to pick up our tickets. The ladies do have tickets if you would like to support them with that.
When I did get number one, I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah. I could have fought you for that one.
I got it.
I know.
The 100th year number one. There we go.
That's right.
All right.
So it's going to be a lucky year. I have Keith here at Belial as our president this year, and he is doing a terrific job working, getting, it's overwhelming really, the support we are getting this year from our community. Totally awesome. There will be lots of activities and events going on. Food to eat and music to listen to, and old time, hoping a lot of old time type things like cakewalks and I don't know. There was a list. It went into double double alphabet letters the other night. So, bringing back the cowpie bingo.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, and the museum in your bingo, a fundraiser, and lots of fundraisers for people and lots of opportunities. So mark the calendar for the weekend we do. Father's Day weekend, of course, for Sylvia car show. So we're hoping for a big 4-day event. I have a daughter coming in who is a princess from North Dakota, driving herself, and the oldest one just called me tonight. She just bought the plane tickets, so there's two for you to list for sure that will be here. Anyway, their girls are here tonight to make their first public appearance in the beautiful dresses, kind of gold for a golden double celebration centennial. So I guess to start off with, I would like to introduce our president, Keith Belisle. And back, the second row back, we have the girls as chaperone, Lisa Glacier and Alicia Winger. I guess they're here, right? Are the girls as chaperone this year. So, at this point, do you want Ms. Woodland to go first? Is that the program we have? Yep. I would like to introduce to you Gracie Shoemaker, who is our Miss Woodland this year. And Gracie has done very many social engagements and has been a wonderful help at many of those. So I know they have their program, so I'm going to turn it over to our Miss Woodland, Gracie Shoemaker.
Hi, I'm Gracie, the 2021 Miss Woodland. I am daughter of Stacy and Scott Shoemaker. After I graduate high school, I plan to go to Pacific University, where I will major in publishing and editing. And once I graduate from there, I would like to be, I'd like to work for a publishing company, like editing books. It's been a really fun year, and I would like to thank everybody for coming us here tonight, allowing us to be here. I'd like to introduce the 2022 Fundraising Party. Good evening. My name is Princess Brooklyn, and I am the daughter of Matt and Kim Donald. At school, I like to participate in National Honor Society, robotics, knowledge bowl, and I'm also the ASB student school board representative. And when I graduate high school, I hope to go to George Fox University to become a neonatal nurse in the Air Force. Hello, I'm Princess Kate. I am daughter of William Kelly Miller. I am the secretary for the Woodland High School Automotive Club. And after I graduate, I would like to go to a professional cooking school.
Looks like he's never done this before. Hold your breath like that.
Mayor, girls, come back.
He's used to it. Take a deep breath.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, good evening. I'm Keith Belisle, president of the Midland Planners for the Celebration Committee. I want to thank everybody for being here. It's great to see you at the city council. And I want to thank the members of the committee incredible to be part of this. This is really where you get to see community. Tonight, I would like to present a couple of awards and prizes to our theme winner, Barb Boswell. She wins our theme this year with the theme of celebrating 100 years of community. So I have a check for
I've got to say, I've probably gone to more Planters Days than any of you have. I am a Woodland native, and as were my parents. We all graduated from Woodland High School, my parents, my cousins, my aunt and uncles. So, well, we go way back to when Carnival was in the street, and little pony rides. And I would like the girls to fill out tickets for you to come to the Rivers Baptist Planters.
It's professional.
And our artwork winner this year is Cody Richardson, and this is a copy of the artwork. Cody, you want to come up here? I have a check for you. Take the pictures. Boy, there's
Congratulations. Here we go. Let's stand right here with Mr. Goliath. There we go. All right, now we're going to pivot towards Mr. Boyce. Are we good? Okay.
Good job.
Can I see it? Turn it, let me see.
Like you never done before,
Nice.
Will. Pivot this
Nice.
way, and pivot this way, pivot, gotcha.
Very creative.
Very
So
good.
what will
Yeah.
that, is that gonna be on like the flyers and
We'll
stuff?
have that on some of the printed material we have down there.
Nice.
We usually do a big push.
Okay,
Gotcha.
good.
Watch for information about Planters Days coming up. We'll be putting up information for the parade registrations and registrations for.
Damn. That's right. Next time you're on a roll, go for it, dude.
4 days that I'm putting this right now. Big fireworks show.
Thank you, Mr. Belial. All right. And congratulations to everyone. We're all very, very excited for this year. Very excited. I'm very excited to, I'll just say I'm number one again. But then also to be the mayor during this 100th celebration. I'm very excited about that. So good job. Thank you for all the hard work. And ladies, congratulations. And I expect to see you, I'm sure, everywhere with your purse asking everyone for cash. So well done. All right. Citizen communication for items not on the agenda. I have no one signed up. Now's your opportunity to step forward if you'd like to speak for items not on the agenda. Not on the agenda? I've got you on the agenda.
Oh, am I on the? I
Yeah.
don't think it's on the agenda.
Okay, well then, let's just go for it. Come on, Miss Butler.
If not, to segue into the next one.
Okay, so I came here for two reasons. One, I wanted to print a picture on me about it. I was interested in that. And also, I would like to give special thanks to the mayor and to the chief of police for your professionalism and the brief dialogue that you had to participants of a peaceful protest against mask mandates at the middle school last month. You basically were acknowledging that we were the boundaries of the law and holding a peaceful protest, making our voices be heard regarding the controversial mask mandate. It was a great opportunity for teachers with their students and parents with their children to have the important conversation of America's basic freedoms and rights guaranteed in our Constitution. What took place in Woodland simultaneously was taking place all across America and even other countries. It
It was also a great opportunity for local students who organized it, their parents, and other like-minded citizens to be part of the national movement to bring back medical freedom of choice wherever you choose or don't wear a mask. We like your professionalism and with that on behalf of all.
Yep.
So thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Anyone else for items not on the agenda that failed to sign up? Seeing no one, moving on to items on the agenda. Joy Smith. I'll have you step forward and provide you 5 minutes.
All right, well, my name is Joy, and in 2020, I'm here with 20 after 4. In 2020, we tried to get a building rezoned, and were turned down 4 to 3 for being marijuana store. We have appealed the fine for not being zoned properly and denial of our city license. The city told Mr. Turner that we were denied our city license not because we were a marijuana store, but not being zoned properly. So we took the next step. We paid the fee for rezoning, and we went in front of the building and planning. At building and planning, we were recognized 2-1, and the requirements in favor of adding retail marijuana storefront to C2 zone. Now we are here, and we are requesting a vote tonight on rezoning the issue at hand, as well as requesting that the fine not be zoned for not being zoned properly and operating in the city of Woodland be held until the vote of rezoning takes place at the two days.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate you stopping by. Anyone else for items on the agenda? Seeing no one. Moving on to the agenda itself this evening.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Holland, seconded by Councilmember Rowland. Mrs. Anderson.
Councilmember Burke,
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman,
Aye.
Councilmember Smith,
Aye.
Councilmember Holland,
Aye.
Councilmember Rowland,
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds.
Aye.
The agenda's been approved. Moving on to reports of City Council.
I was on the legislative phone call last Tuesday that Chamber puts on. If anybody gets a chance, that's a wonderful thing. You can let your voice be heard, and more people should do it if they get the opportunity.
It's tomorrow the last one.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, I think so. All right, thank you. No. All right, seeing nothing else, moving on to Public Safety Committee.
We did not have a meeting today, and our next meeting will be April the 4th at 5:30.
Thank you. Public Works, Mr. Smith.
So we had a vote, and I was voted the chair, reluctantly. Yes.
He kept saying I want it.
Yes. So we discussed a lot. So bear with me here. Don't stop me midway. Talked about the need for 500,000 gallon tank. Won't pass the seismic report. It came back that the foundation needs updating. With that, it's not worth putting the money in that, and we're going to look at building a 1.5 million gallon replacement tank for that in the future. So that will be coming eventually to council. Bought some new equipment to help with the fire hydrant testing, and that has reduced the employees, I think, for each fire hydrant testing. So reduced man hours with the equipment that has been bought. Perfect, thank you. A while ago, we switched over to maintaining the sewage lift stations and having them pumped at a more cleaned out at a more regular schedule, which has in turn had a 40% labor savings because of the maintenance we are having done on that. So that has been beneficial, and I think we're going to try to keep that program going. Went through and inventoried all the sidewalks for any sidewalk repairs that need to be repaired and potholes that need to be done. Did that in the month of February, I think. Is that right?
Yep.
Right now, we're about 50% complete of the LED retro replacements for all the street lighting. They're going to order more this year. Also looked at the curb painting, so did a visual inspect of all the sidewalks and curb painting that need to be done. So that'll be looking at trying to get that stuff repaired in the future. Community center update on that. Siding has been torn off and is getting a refurbish done on that, and that process has started. New shrubs were put in at Horseshoe Lake, and engineered wood trips were put in at Horseshoe Lake Park. Eagle Park, the bee was repaired at Eagle Park, the little springy bee. That took 6 months just to get the parts for that, so it's finally repaired. Thank you. My kids will use that. Public Works Week is May 16th through the 20th. And they are currently working on new grants for sidewalks, for getting more sidewalk grants.
Questions for Mr. Smith? Thank you, Mr. Smith. Moving on to Wahkiakum Council of Governments. I attended their meeting I think it was last week, could have been the week before, I can't remember. And it was a presentation on medical benefits that the city is not a part of. So, although I sit on the board, it was not very informational for me. But it was informational for the other cities that were attending. We have anything for DWR tonight, Ms. Coleman?
No.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to Mayor's Report. Don't forget we have a retreat this Saturday, the 12th. We will begin fellowship at 8:15, and the meeting will commence at 9 a.m. I know that is awfully early, not only for myself, but Ms. Holland and I are on the same page. But, well, that's what the coffee's for, 8:15. Fellowship. Coffee fellowship. Yes.
I'm getting your messages about that either, because I showed up that one day.
We'll make sure that I've got the phone list here.
Okay.
And we'll make sure that we got because I've sent you a few other messages since then too. Okay. We'll make sure we got the right number for you. The play begins this weekend from Love Street, and I can't remember the name of it, but that starts on Friday night. So I'll be attending that, hopefully with my wife. She's claiming she's got other plans, but we'll see. The plans are with her husband. Let's see here. I spoke with Jamie Herrera, Butler's office. So we've been working on a $14.7 million grant for Exit 21. Thank you, Ms. Coleman, for filling out that paperwork. 14.7, right?
11.7.
11.7. Did I say 14?
Yes.
Well, I want it to be 14.
I like it.
11.7. Sorry. Are you sure it's 11?
Yeah, 11.7. 14 was the other one.
Oh, okay, got you. So $11.7 million grant from the federal government was supposed to have notification last month. They have now kicked that to March 11th, so I will keep you posted. So hopefully we'll know by this Friday if we're going to be able to move forward with a massive project there to help with our traffic issue. We've got a commitment from Cowlitz County commissioners for $2 million, but we still need 11.7 in order to gather up all we have a lot of funds that are floating around from different pots of money, so very excited about that. And I know I did a lot last Monday, and I can't remember. I was all over the place last Monday. I think that's all of importance at this point. Mr. Boyce.
All right, I wanted to mention that the city council vacancy is on the website right now, will be advertised in the Reflector for the next 2 weeks, and we'll send press releases out to the other news organizations. We already have interest of 3 individuals, so we'll see how many we get. The last day to turn an application in I have is March 28th. And then City Council will interview the candidates at their meeting on April 4th. So it's moving forward. I also wanted to mention on the consent items, we have 2 collective bargaining agreements with the Teamsters Clerical Unit and Public Works Unit. Staff's recommending approval. Both parties negotiated in good faith, and I think we got to an agreement neither side is totally happy with, but that's usually a good agreement. And I should mention that both units also ratified the agreements already, so I encourage council to adopt those. And then, well, March 11th is my birthday, so let's hope we get that grant.
That's right.
But as of March 12th, the city will not have to require masks. So employees who still want to wear one may, but it will be up to their discretion. And that's my report for this evening.
Questions for Mr. Boyce? Seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Boyce. Questions for any of the other department heads this evening? All right, seeing none. Moving on to consent items.
Move to approve the consent items.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Chapman, seconded by Councilmember Rounds. Mrs. Anderson?
You get there.
Well, I went fast. Efficiency tonight.
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
Councilmember Rowland?
Aye.
Councilmember Burke?
Aye.
Councilmember Smith?
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds?
Aye.
Councilmember Holland?
Aye.
Consent items have passed. Moving on to action item F. Ordinance number 1502, amending Woodland Municipal Code 2.26.090 residence requirements for the police chief and authorized publication. First reading.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 1502, amending WMC 2.26.090 resident requirements for the chief of police chief and authorized publication. First reading.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Rounds, seconded by Councilmember Chapman. Councilmember Rounds.
Well, I just think it's a good thing. It makes it a little easier for us to be able to be in competition with other places, and that's not that far away. So that's all I have to say.
Councilmember Chapman.
I agree. We're just trying to make this more so we get more quality employment around here and make it a little easier better for people, entice them who actually want to come here and not be so restricted.
Further discussion? Seeing none, Mrs. Anderson.
Councilmember Rowland?
Aye.
Councilmember Burke?
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
Councilmember Holland?
Aye.
Councilmember Smith?
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds?
Aye.
Action item F has passed first reading. Moving on to action item G, ordinance number 1501, garbage recycling rate adjustment, final reading.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Burke, seconded by Councilmember Rounds. Councilmember Burke.
It's got to be done. Cost of living increase.
Councilmember Rounds.
I agree. As much as we hate to raise the rates,
90
everything
cents.
else is going up. And the gas, I mean, we have to.
There's only
Further discussion?
80 cents a month, 85.
Councilmember Chapman.
Yeah, if I understand, this is just coming, this is not from us, this is just coming from recycling. So
Right.
Correct.
We
It's
have
not
no
from us.
control over this. This is the pass-through as well, so it's not us doing this.
Yes. Councilmember Smith.
If we do not raise the rates, the city will have to make up the difference.
It's about 80, what was it, 80 cents a month? It was reasonable.
Are you asking a question, Mr. Burke?
Yeah. I said it was 80 cents, or 85 cents a month, was it?
So 65 cents.
I read it. but I don't
65
remember
cents?
Exactly. Was it 65 cents a month?
65.
Looks like here it says residential, small, commercial, 65 cents.
Yeah.
65.
That was
Right.
420.
65 cents for garbage, 24 cents for recycling.
Plus the
That's
24
what it
cents.
come out with, 80, so,
89 cents.
yeah.
Further discussion? Mrs. Anderson.
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds?
Aye.
Councilmember Burke?
Aye.
Councilmember Holland?
Aye.
Councilmember Smith?
Aye.
Councilmember Rowland?
Aye.
Action item G has passed. Final reading. Moving on to action item H, ordinance number 1506, complete streets, final reading.
Move to approve ordinance 1506, complete streets, final reading.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Rounds, seconded by Councilmember Rowland. Councilmember Rounds.
We just need to get it done.
Councilmember Rowland.
I agree.
Further discussion? Mr. Smith.
We briefly talked about this in the Public Works Committee, and I think that's part of this is to try to go for the grants for the sidewalks project.
Further discussion? Seeing none, Mrs. Anderson, please take the roll on action item H.
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
Councilmember Smith?
Aye.
Councilmember Rowland?
Aye.
Councilmember Holland?
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds?
Aye.
Councilmember Burke?
Aye.
Action item H has passed. Final reading. The time is now 7:29. We'll be moving into a workshop. Planning Commission recommendations regarding retail marijuana in residential and C2 zone. Mr. Goddard, do you have a presentation this evening or just an update on the, for council?
So I don't have any full,
Formal.
presentation, but I can give you a quick synopsis of
Perfect.
what's in there. Good evening, for the record, my name is Travis.
That's unplugged.
Is it?
Yeah.
So,
Just pretend.
yeah. My name is Travis Goddard, I'm the Community Development Director for the City of Woodland. What you have in your packet tonight is 2 recommendations from the Planning Commission from their hearing last month. They considered the retail marijuana zoning text amendment request from Paradigm LLC, and they found that the ordinance that was prepared in 2019 or 2020 was adequately modified to meet the intent of the code if you chose to make policy decisions to change and allow retail marijuana sales in the city of Woodland. So the ordinance that is in that packet is adequate to implement the changes if that's the direction you want to go. It was passed by a majority of 2 to 1, and so the recommendation is to adopt that language if that's the policy decision. The second one before you is the direction that the council has given staff, given the amount of residential and commercial zone applications that we've been experiencing in the last year. We've asked the Planning Commission to consider code that will allow for some compliance issues with the comprehensive plan and the road management act considered that will allow us to do mixed use in our commercial zone. The ordinance that you have in front of you is was recommended 3-0 for adoption. It outlines the highway commercial zoning district and changes to that zoning code that will allow for mixed use developments in the commercial zone that still allow us to achieve our commercial goals from our comprehensive plan. Any questions?
Is that,
Mr. Burke?
is that going to allow it in any commercial zone or just
Highway
there?
commercial.
Huh?
In the highway commercial zone.
Okay,
It is
which
it is
includes-
currently allowed in our downtown commercial core, and that's where this code change is kind of an extension of that from the C1 to
So that would be around Safeway and the whole area.
C2. Belmont, Little,
Okay.
up and down at night.
Is it true that the 2 recommended, 1 quit? Did one of the planning commission quit after she voted for that?
No. So, Sam Nigro, who is our 4th, or is now our 5th planning commission member, he is our Woodland School District member on the planning commission, and he has indicated that he will be resigning. He's not going to participate anymore. He mentioned he was selling his business, so no longer thought that he could serve the city like that. So he was not one that voted on either of those recommendations.
You have to be a city resident to be on the planning commission.
So we recently changed our code to allow for 4 residents plus fifth resident who could be, live in the county, either Clark or Cowlitz, as long as they're in the Woodlands area. So we have one X city limits and four internal city limits at least four.
Is that position filled?
No, that position is the one that's currently available. And we have 3 applications that the mayor is going to be reviewing. 2 of them are internal to the city, 1 is external. So the mayor will be making the recommendation to
You have something, Mrs. Rounds? No. How many times has, to your knowledge, I know that you've only been here a handful of years, but since you've been here, how many times has this topic been brought before council for a vote?
So this is the second time it's been brought before us for a vote.
Is
And
this
the-
highway commercial, is that what you're talking?
No, I'm talking
Or
about the marijuana.
Marijuana.
Yeah, retail marijuana, sorry. By the person that spoke this, or that's currently operating illegally inside city limits.
So, in the first year and a half, we visited this issue twice for moratorium extension. And then in 2019, we had brought forward a change to allow for the retail marijuana sales. And that is, the gentleman who proposed it this time signed on to that and offered to champion that as the applicant essentially trying to advocate for that position. So I couldn't say that he actually was the one that submitted the application, but it's the second time that he's been before the council requesting that change be made.
To your knowledge, how many other folks within that have held a license through the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board for the city of Woodland?
As far as I know, there's only one other, and I don't know why they allowed it to elapse.
But that person didn't open up a shop. Okay. How many stores is Woodland allowed to have if council decides to make that a policy decision?
One.
One only.
Under the current size and the rules that the liquor control board will allow 1 license.
Okay. And is that the one that's currently open? Are they have a business license?
Retail license. They do not have a business license, but they have a liquor control board license.
Okay. Which is different than a business license for the city of Woodland.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. I'll have more. Anything else?
I have a
Mrs.
question.
Holland.
So, because your department is the one that I have the hardest time with. So, highway commercial, Lewis River Road. What is that, zoned wise?
So, the zoning map is actually over there behind you. And
Okay.
if anybody is taking a look at it, the pink for the zoning code, or for the zoning map, is our highway commercial. And it does include the piece of property that 20 After 4 is operating on, that Paradigm LLC is operating on. And it actually extends from Lewis River Road out to Atlantic. So,
I never look at that.
and so the purpose behind the highway commercial zone is intended to service people in automobiles, whether that's traffic on I-5, State Route 503, or to citizens within the city seeking access or service directly in their vehicles. So drive up and auto-oriented people who commute through town for services.
Gotcha. So I have another question that maybe you can answer me. So back when all of that stuff went before the hearing examiner, there was a big fatty packet of information that was put on the city website, right? So one of the questions I had that I don't know the answer to is when the city sent out certified mail to the person, the applicant, whoever Paradigm is, why did they have one certified mail go to Goreg Street and one go to Atlantic? Do they own 2 businesses inside city limits?
So, from our point of view, whether it's one or multiple, doesn't matter to us. We look party of record documentation. And if they sign one piece of paper with their work address, another with their home address, and another one might be a post office box, to ensure that there are no procedural problems, we just send multiple copies, including to the individual property owner, in the event it might be different from the actual licensed business operator or staff who is at the business. So we over-advertise just to make sure that the parties of record have the opportunity to see the decision of the conference.
So do you remember, gosh, wasn't it like fall maybe a couple years ago when this came up on our agenda? There were two gentlemen who wanted that address, that they wanted to open a store over on Atlantic. That was the meeting where we also voted to increase utility taxes, and the only thing that made it in the paper was pot. That's what I remember from that, so I don't remember how long ago that was. So were those people, is that this address? Was that the same address that those two gentlemen?
I don't know that for sure.
Okay. I just think it's weird. For me, it's just kind of weird that it's this one location has popped up twice, one in a certified mail and one from a previous council meeting, both highway commercial for retail weed. It just seems random to me, but I'll probably have more questions, but that was the one I printed out so I would not forget to ask.
So when this is scheduled for a public hearing, I will reach out to the parties and ask them to come to the public hearing and testimony for that.
Nice.
They'll get a chance to-
Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
This is a workshop only,
Mm-hmm.
not a vote.
Correct.
No, not a vote.
I feel like this has been in the process for a while, and it's very contentious right now because of circumstances surrounding it, where there is a business operating without a license and going against the city ordinances. I feel like if this passes right now, it's not fair for any other business to have an opportunity to come into Woodland. As far as I'm concerned, this should be tabled until after the legal issue is taken care of.
Mrs. Rounds?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, it's still illegal federally, and I just think it's, I'd rather see the kids go out of town to get it, or they're going to get it, but I don't really necessarily want it in Woodland, so that's my feelings.
Mrs. Rowland?
I hear those concerns. I would say that we're missing out on a lot of money by sending people out of town to go get it, because it is legal in this state. We have to acknowledge that that's what people are looking for. And they've done really great things. They're really great people. They've donated tons of money, and they've bought toys for kids for Christmas. They've made a huge positive impact in our community. And the circumstances they got here were unique. But I don't think that's something that necessarily everybody else who would want to start a business could exploit. It just happened this way. And sometimes that happens. And policy works about 95% of the time. And the 5% when it doesn't is when we're here to make these adjustments and grow with it. So, I mean, I'm for them. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm really nervous. I think it probably is my first, disagreement. But I honestly, I don't see downsides. I was in this community when it was illegal, and it was super easy to get done. This will help get rid of illegal dealers, because you can get it legally, and kids are gonna get it regardless. But I think there's more education now, and kids are, when I was working at the high school, I didn't see a lot of kids doing it. or you're talking about, it wasn't the kind of culture that I had when I was in school here. But I just think the positives outweigh the negatives, and I don't think they should be penalized for the circumstances that brought them here, because it was a county and state decision.
Mr. Smith?
Yes, Washington State passed it, but Washington State also passed that city ordinances can exclude it if they want to. So if we're abiding by the law, we're abiding by the law. And I agree, there's circumstances surrounding it, but there's a lot of people that start businesses in Woodland that do it the right way and not circumventing it and then trying to get their agenda passed through. So I understand that, and I understand that they do good things. And once this is resolved, they can have a fair opportunity to do a business if it passes at that point.
So in the meantime, what would that, what they need to do then, we just need to grant them a business license, or?
They can't get a business license with current code.
Okay.
I don't think it's going
Mr. Burke?
I don't think it's going to stop illegal dealers from coming in here. Some of the cities that have allotted marijuana shops also have illegal dealers there. So I don't see how that's going to be anything. I think they came in, they broke the law, they didn't do anything, kept it open, didn't do the proper procedures, which they should have done. So that's one thing I don't agree with. They broke the law.
It sounds like they've been trying to remedy the procedures. They've been trying to get legal this whole time, and they've been stonewalled because they didn't approach it the first time the correct way, and they're continually trying to correct it, and they're being told that no. And what it sounds like we would be asking is someone to give up their livelihood until we voted they can do it.
Mrs. Holland?
If I remember the meeting correctly, and Mr. Mayor, or Pete, or Travis, you might remember it differently than I do, but if I remember that meeting correctly, the particular gentleman whose name is on this sat in the back of the room and told us, if I remember the yelling, that he would do it anyway. We could not stop him, and we were stupid. If that's how I remember it.
Is that not freedom of speech, though?
Well, here's the thing. You don't get to sit in here and interject into meetings. That's how people get ejected from meetings. There's decorum that people have to follow. Like, I came to meetings for years and years and years, and I never once sat back there and barked at council.
Okay.
So, but that's what I remember is so. From that alone, I would think that was before they opened. So what I remember from that meeting was, gonna do it anyway, you can't stop me. So he did it anyway, got fined. Because is there not still a moratorium? The city still has a moratorium?
No moratorium. It's just not an allowed prohibited
Okay.
use or
so that
prohibited
finally
activity.
ran out. Okay, so to go through the process, if I also remember the hearing examiner meeting, the application for a business license showed up about a month before the application for the public hearing. Is that right? Like 6 months after they'd been open?
It was prior to the appeal hearing so that it could be heard at the same time.
Okay. So he'd been here since like springtime and this was winter.
And so after the notice of order, he did apply for a business license to try and resolve that violation.
But did not before he opened.
Did not.
Okay.
Mr. Smith?
Mr. Goddard, how many people do you come into your office and pay for permits, go through an extremely rigorous process to get approval, and bounce through this process and take the time and don't build a single thing before they get into this and they get approval.
So that would be, the number is pretty small, but the answer would be all of them.
Except for one. Today, we are talking about it. There is a process that needs to be abided by. You let one get away with it, and what else comes in? And I'm not against pot. There's a process that needs to be done.
I understand that, but again, it's not a common circumstance that this occurred under. It was, the county, his building that he was operating in, was being demolished. So what we would be asking someone to do, a small business owner, would be to just stop working. Stop operating your business, have no livelihood, while we figure out if you can be here, even though the county has said, these are the only places you're allowed to be. So, I mean, I don't think that's pro-small business by punishing someone for something that he had no control over. He's trying to make the best of his situation. I mean, it really sounds like we're coming up on the process. And instead of looking at the big picture of what this could do for him.
We did that.
Mr. Smith?
The county is not the city of Woodland. The city of Woodland has their own rules. I'm sorry, life's not fair. There's a process.
Mrs. Rounds?
And also, most of the money goes to the state. We only get a small percentage of what the retail sales are. So granted, the state is probably, they would be excited for us to do it, but they're going to get most of the money if we do.
We lose money also in tourism and other stores as well if we don't have it here. I mean, I stopped going to Vancouver almost entirely. So I keep my money here in town.
Mrs. Holland?
So, Travis, do you know the answer to how many towns in Cowlitz County don't allow it?
I do not know that.
'Cause it seems like Kalama doesn't, right?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so.
I don't think
Castle
so.
Rock.
Yeah, so Kalama, Castle Rock.
Senate doesn't.
Yeah, they're in Clark County though.
That's Clark County.
Yeah.
Is there,
They don't.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just curious why, my question has always been, because I've read about this all in the paper and whatnot, so there was a project in Kelso, and they were going to widen the roads or do whatever, and said, hey, you need to move. There's Kalama, Castle Rock. Ding, 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 Woodland. We'll pick Woodland. So I just think it's kind of random because there's other places, right? They just, yeah.
There was no other open cities that he could, all the options, all of them have ordinances like this one.
Mr. Burke?
If you remember, we had a vote whether we should sell marijuana from the people, and they said no. 70%, I think it was, a few years ago. The people didn't want it in here.
Mr. Goddard, you're looking for direction from council this evening, correct, on two different items during this workshop to, it has an application fee, I guess, but is this something that's going to be brought back forward, or are we looking for consensus from council for changes, and if this should be brought back forward for a vote?
So under normal circumstances, you would have a workshop and then I would immediately bring it to you as a public hearing. And my presentation at that public hearing would be based on the questions that are raised for me to do research for you for the presentation. So right now I'm looking for direction on what questions you would like me to answer when I bring it before you for a public hearing.
Thank you.
And we're also discussing apartments in commercial,
Yes.
which, to be perfectly honest, I thought was silly when I remember gosh, what was it? I remember Mary Lee was still a council member, and that was when they determined that downtown you could put apartments downstairs and go 3 or 4 stories up, but you had to have a business down.
Business first floor.
Yeah,
two
business
stories.
first floor, and then you could put 3 stories above it. And I thought that was silly, but do people really want to have this? I mean, is that a thing? Is people really want to have dwellings?
So that's a good question. The question that has been brought up to me during this discussion, and that is it viable to do commercial and residential mixed use? It does work in a lot of jurisdictions. The question is the mathematics and the economics viable for Woodland? And my response, I continue to respond, and that is, I want the code to give you the opportunity, if and when the math and the finances do work. I believe you should be given the tools to allow you to implement your business plan and include a mixed-use option. If your choice is we don't want that in the community because we're not ready for it, it's the same as if the economics don't work, it's not relevant. You don't need to worry about it.
Mr. Burke?
Is it mixed use right now? Are they living upstairs, or anybody living upstairs? Because there is an upstairs.
So in the C1 district, it is currently allowed.
That's not C1, is it?
Sorry?
Is that C1?
Which one?
Where they're at?
I-
Marijuana
that's
store,
related.
was it?
I think he means the.
Yeah, sorry, separate issues.
Yeah.
So this is not the marijuana site. It's all highway commercial.
Mr. Smith?
Would this, the residential, commercial zoning, would this change the, was it the senior center by Safeway? Would this change this where they could be approved on that?
That was a light industrial zone, so it would not change the decision on that. However, you would have had a better opportunity to decide whether or not that site warranted commercial development. Because what they had asked for is to go from industrial to commercial and then to build a mixed use on that site. But you never got to that question because ultimately you felt that industrial was better fit for that site than commercial. So it's the second question that you never got to as part of that process.
Are there any projects that are going to be impacted by any of these changes at this time?
Yes,
Go ahead.
Logan's Landing.
And what it is?
Information is currently available on the website, and I'm actually expecting to issue a determination of significance tomorrow, which would trigger an environmental impact statement for them to take a look at the impacts of our zoning comprehensive plan and transportation and utility infrastructure before that gets to the decision process.
Can you remind council the location of that project and what that project is been
So,
proposed?
It's just south of Belmont Loop at the end of Franklin. And then it extends out to Old Pacific Highway south of Franklin, or south of Belmont Loop.
Are there current properties or projects that would be grandfathered into changes?
Other than potentially Logan's Landing.
No. Okay. Everybody else is already conforming to what has been said.
Or they haven't submitted.
Okay.
And they're subject to the moratorium.
Perfect. Thank you.
Where is Franklin?
It's off Belmont. It's a little offshoot.
I can't retain
So
new
there's the map.
places. That's new.
There's nothing really. It's across from the veterinary clinic.
Yeah.
There's a little offshoot road.
Right, so it's like what the
That's
grassy
what
knoll.
It's over by the Little League field. Right?
No.
No?
It's you've got Belmont and there's a little.
Up and left.
That little piece there that they've been filling in?
No, that's over here. That's over here.
Okay.
This is the vet clinic, Chevron. Yeah, there's a little telephone stand thing right there. Yeah, so it just kind of dead ends right there. And then that piece of property back there. So we'll look at. Yeah.
I've always liked this.
Franklin would dead end into this project, correct? Like, it's just a one.
The other yaw.
Franklin is actually.
Vehicles get dumped there.
No, I know what it is.
Franklin Loop.
Okay.
So it will go from Belmont Loop out to Old Civic Highway.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay.
I've always liked those. I think they're kind of romantic, having like your business on the bottom floor, like Bob's Burgers. I've always loved seeing that.
And we have a number of buildings in downtown that are like that now. Yeah. Any other questions or directions for Mr. Goddard? All right. Anything else, Mr. Goddard, or direction that you need for these two items? You're good?
I'll schedule it. Would you like the next available meeting or?
Yep. All right. The time is now 7:59. We are out of a workshop and come to the end of our meeting.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Brown, seconded by Councilmember Smith. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Nay.
8 o'clock. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
We're making friends.
What?
I enjoy making friends. It sucks is I'm not against it. That's the shitty part.
How are you? Hey, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Hey,